How y'all doing? How y'all doing? This is Alvin from Trying Success on the Old Fashioned Health Network. Good health inside and out. And I have amazing guests with me today. I'm really happy to have Mr. Kevin here with me today. Kevin, tell the people a little bit about yourself, man, who you are, and I'm explaining them why I had you on my podcast. Tell them who you are.
Definitely. Well, Chef, I appreciate you having me on the podcast. As you mentioned, my name is Kevin. Full name Kevin Randall. Just in case anybody's checking for me. But I am in nonprofit as well as film and creating content. So I'm from Atlanta, the Metro Atlanta area, the Gwinnett County area to be specific. No, but yeah. So you have me on the call. Obviously, we worked together in some capacity in the past, but obviously from a work standpoint, I have a background going in nonprofit work, even, working with families in the communities, even had a chance to be a instructor for this organization by the name of STEAM Sport. Mm-hmm. So with there, I was basically, coaching and counseling the kids in regards to post-production, pre-production. Fortunately, I had a team with me, but yeah, I got my hat in quite a few things here in Atlanta, trying to get global and expand, definitely. So I came to work with the Old Fashioned Health Network for sure.
Man,
so I appreciate
happy to have you on the show. Really, really happy to have you on the show. I know you worked a lot with nonprofits, and I know so you have some other dreams and aspirations that you've always wanted to achieve. So we're going to talk a little bit about both, a little bit about the whole nonprofit piece of it, because I want to ask questions like, what does it feel like to work for a nonprofit? What's the benefit for you in working for a nonprofit?
Right. So for me, one of the real immediate benefits was learning how to go about accommodating, because my family, they hail from Baltimore specifically, but I also have family in Oxford, North Carolina. So in a sense, I was born here, but my family, they are from other cities, So for me, just understanding, in a sense, my purpose, that's what I feel. So when I come to work each day, it's a matter of, being able to tackle solutions and be very pragmatic with how I move, because I want those things to be able to translate directly to my family. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So for me, going to work and working in a nonprofit, it's done a lot for me mentally, and monetary wise. Nonprofit, obviously the word is nonprofit, but there are definitely plenty of areas that you can make profit in. But obviously that's where you have to make sure you expand. But going back to your original question, working in a nonprofit definitely has done a lot to educate me. It's opened a lot of doors for me. And it's done a lot for me as a man too. So, just turned 30 this past year. So, I wouldn't be here, at this age with this mindset if it wasn't for, working in the nonprofit industry for sure.
So do you think it's because of, some of the families you've had a chance to deal with to put you in a different, more, level mind frame? Is it what you've seen working in different communities?
Yeah, no, it's a mixture of both. I've worked with countless families, and many of them are underserved. So, some can't get out their way. Some just need a little bit of reassurance in some regards. But as I mentioned, working with the families, those are things in which you want to set templates so it can translate to the next. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel with how I, serve and assist people in the community, but again, you want to work smarter, not harder, right? Right. So if I learn something today, then I'm hoping that I can bestow that upon somebody else too. But again, that's what we do. We throw darts at the board, see how many sticks, and we adjust as necessary.
So until I start working with the same nonprofit organization, when we've come over there and assist them during holiday season and things like that, why or what is the difference in that people see a regular, and it may not necessarily be associated with the housing complex because different nonprofits do different things, right?
Right.
And so in your capacity that you were in experience you had with nonprofit, has it always been in the family environment setting for residential home type living, or has it been for some other capacity of a nonprofit?
Yeah, so fortunately, I've been able to balance both. So I've worked directly with families, and that's with the resident services side. So I'm formerly a community engagement coordinator. We call it a CEC. Okay. So I still talk with my fellow CECs because, as you mentioned, with my role, I am a program marketing and partnership specialist at the Ascent Project. So for me, is definitely making sure that I don't lose sight of the things that I learned from the CEC standpoint, but again, making sure that I have that conversation and staying connected with them. But definitely from the position, the difference wise, yes, so you do work, in different capacities. So for instance, you have your nonprofits that focus primarily on families. Then you have your nonprofits that might focus directly on education. You see what I'm saying? So it just depends on which niche market. But at the end of the day, the purpose of nonprofits obviously are to, assist those in need, and they have specific causes. So for me, I've had the balance of working obviously for family-oriented communities, whether it's, apartment complexes. And then I also, as I mentioned earlier, had the pleasure of working with education-based STEAM sport. And again, that was basically me being a instructor for middle school as well as high school students. So, and with that, shoot, you still work with the family, you know what I mean? Their mom bringing them up there for tutorial at 8 a.m. You teaching them at 9 to 11. You might go on a field trip, whatever the case may be. You have to make sure that you get that waiver. So you still touch the whole household. And as we found, working with the child, that stems up. So in a sense, if you work with the root, then you can possibly get to, others in the household, whether that be, siblings, older parents, people that might be stuck in their ways. Many times when you work with the child, it could go directly up to the household too.
Yeah, in most cases it does. And, I like to use the example of McDonald's. McDonald's drives the household. It's for some reason when little kids, they force the parents to just get into this whole thing about McDonald's. And McDonald's has been so smart with their marketing. They start out with the burgers, and they start with the cartoon characters to go, and then they start with the gifts, and then they name the meals. It's all catered to the kids. So you're right. When you can get to the kids, you can get to the parents for sure. That's the way up.
Oh yeah, more marketing, so you get the parents to spend more money.
Right. Now, so I know people are looking at this background and say, why does it look like there's a stage back there and everything? So now this is the other fun side about Kevin. Kevin, first of all, Kevin always called me chef because he knows me to be cooking. And see, I got my little vegan power shirt on, so I'm this health cooking person, and everybody's like, why are you calling him chef? But anyway, there's another part of your life that you has mentioned a couple of times. And that's to be and to actually have been a comedian or be a comedian. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked. So for me, one of the things that I realized early on is that I had a way with words. So when I was younger, I grew up an only child. I have a brother, but we didn't grow up together. So one of the things that I always enjoyed was comedy. So as I got older, I just started to pay attention to the things that were, reoccurring, consistent in my life. So I would look at, the amount of DVDs that I had that were comedy based versus drama. Or I would, for instance, one of the things I found was an old book I had. It was called Squeaky Clean Jokes for Kids. And what I did as a child, I went through and I highlighted what were good jokes, what were bad jokes, how to adjust them, things like that. But yes, to answer your question, yes, being a comedian was definitely one of my. To be honest with you, I feel like I am a comedian. I think for me doing stand up, it was all purposeful, right? So one of the things in which I pride myself off is PPVP. That's an acronym that I created for myself: passion, purpose, values, and perceptions. Okay. So they all correlate with one another. So, you start at the beginning, they're going to correlate with the next thing, whether it be your passion, your value, purpose, perception, whatever the case may be. So as I got into stand up, and truth be told, I'll back up. I got into doing stand up because I wanted to write for TV shows.
Oh,
that was my primary focus. And what I did was I just started to research the different people that were doing things that I wanted to do as well in my life. So I would watch, different interviews, late night interviews. So that could be, David Letterman, Jimmy Fallon, et cetera, different people that you would see them interview. So in a sense, I would watch that, and I guess you'd call it studying. Right. But, again, studying is one of those things that, is to each his own. But yeah, so with that, I was able to just kind of see how they got their feet wet, what they did, different steps. So, that's why I jumped at it. I was a younger man with lesser bills and more time, but I had found my passion at 20 years old. So that's what spurred me, So I was in college at the time. And I was kind of going through the motions, so I had to drop out for a year just to figure things out. And in that time, I built up enough courage to go about doing stand-up. Because in my mind, I told myself, I'm going to drop out. I'll be famous in 6 months. and I didn't do anything except I went to my first. Actually, in the 6 months, I went to my first my first set. It was in Atlanta at this place called Hole in the Wall in Buckhead. If you ever heard of it, and the host that night, his name was Ben Palmer. I remember it exactly. But yeah, I was nervous. I got on stage at like 1 a.m. So
how did you do?
Yeah. So that's the thing. I got one joke correct out, but you never really realize what it's like, one, public speaking, and then also public speaking when you can say whatever you want. That's a whole other ball game. But, you have your audience, you're trying to talk to them, but at that time, it's mainly comedians. So they're not really listening to you. You know what I mean? So I'm talking to them, but again, it's the game of practicing it, going through those experiences. And as I've heard many people say in the past, it takes 8 years, truthfully, to be a successful comedian. And I was like,
really?
All right, well, I got 8 years because I'm going to still be alive, but I ain't got 8 years just to devote primarily to stand-up comedy.
Right.
But I did, again, get into other areas because I knew one thing. Writing and my penmanship, that was going to carry me as far as I wanted it to.
Okay.
So connecting, using my voice, networking on these social medias, and again, put in the work. You know what I mean? Script writing, learning how to do that because I taught myself. So I just would watch different stuff, and I would mirror what's on screen with what the script looked like, so I can learn better like that. So. There's a different method to my madness for sure, but I know I gave you a long-winded answer.
We want to hear it. We want to hear.
But yeah, so comedy. That's I think that just embodies me in general. Okay. And it's crept so much into my personal life that there's ways of thinking that I have that I've just only been able to get to this point from doing stand-up, and I wouldn't be here without it. So
everybody has a go-to type of platform when it comes to being a comedian. Bernie Mac used to talk about his sister and his family all the time.
Right.
Robin Harris, which of course is, remember the great Robin Harris, he was way funny. He passed away on tour. So do you have a certain platform or lane that you kind of build your comedy around?
Well, one thing I will say, shout out those Chicago goats. I picked up on that, did my research, definitely studied.
Okay.
For me, I don't know. I'm kind of random. And that's what I prided myself on, being universal to the point at which I can kind of talk about everything.
Okay.
But it had to happen in my personal life in order for it to come out on stage.
Okay.
So the way I talk, the way I carry myself, I go back to PPPP, that's truly who I strive to be. You know what I mean? So for me, my wheelhouse, I'm random. I will say me getting 30 definitely helped. Cleaned up some of my comedy, but yeah, I would say for me, I definitely love discussing race-related things.
Okay.
Because I always think that's so funny. The race-related comedy is always funny to me because it's like it's so simple that something as much as color of skin will cause this many reactions, this many things. There's so much to it. It's very layered, and there's history behind it too. But yeah, I would definitely say race related comedy. But again, I'm very random. I can definitely have a conversation with somebody, and we can talk about it, just about anything. And I'm sure there's an element that I can make funny out of it. So.
Who is your who is? I'm gonna give you two of your favorite comedians, 2 males and 1 female. You get 3.
Okay, so Richard Pryor and Dave Chappelle. Okay. Off top. That's easy for me.
Okay.
And as far as female comedians, I would say, I definitely, I might be a homer with this, and I know she's not. I know she's ruffled some feathers recently, but Monique is somebody. She's Baltimore. My parents met at Morgan State University, so in Baltimore. So I definitely got to go back to that. But yeah, so Monique is one that I would definitely say that she's one of my favorites as well.
Well, so speaking of Monique, she's one of my favorites as well. I really like Monique. Yeah, she was always funny, and I like Robin Harris, and I like Bernie Mac, and I like what's the guy from Fred Sanford?
Red Fox.
Red Fox.
Oh yeah. I love the OGs now too.
I know. Yeah. Red Fox, and her name wasn't Esther, but I forgot her actual comedian name. Just really, really, they were just funny. And of course, Richard Pryor and then Eddie Murphy and them is just really funny. So.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that in the situation we're in right now, as far as COVID and people not being able to have what they considered as a normal life, being able to go out and hang out, have a good time. Do you think being a comedian is one of the things that we should do more of to help people to start back to laughing and enjoying each other as opposed to being more serious and worried?
Well, what I will say is it's a tough time now, especially for comedians too. They're experiencing the element of them having to find work. If all these venues and, if they're live, I don't know about you, but I've never watched stand up on Zoom.
Right.
So I don't know if that's something I would want to do. You know what I mean? But with that, yes, comedy is always going to be something that will be that horizon in a sense.
Right.
Throughout time, always. So, especially for as I look at, Black culture and just our history, comedy, that has replaced a lot of pain for many.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like Black church comedy.
Yeah. So, I hear that. Yeah. Because you know why? Because it's very exact. It's straight to the point, and if you already have a history and knowledge of what consists and what occurs in a Black church, then it's funny all day. I remember when I was a child watching them get in the not in the pews, but in the aisles catching the Holy Ghost, and I'm over here like, all right. As a child, I'm like, what is going on? You know what I mean? I'm like, hold on now. That look more than that ghost don't look holy to me. But yeah, so you see different things like that. But again, going back to just how that became your main form of humor in a sense is because the reference points, you have the history with it. And that's one thing with comedy. The more you know about certain things will help. And I think, like I said, in this time we're living in, it's freedom of speech is definitely being challenged.
Yeah,
a lot.
It is.
So it's necessary, but definitely you have to talk correctly, as we've seen with these recent specials. Dave Chappelle. And when I say you have to, meaning for the majority, I guess nowadays you have to.
So I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but I'm gonna tell you, with David Chappelle when everybody was some people were against him, some people were like, personally, I was going on the record and say this. I didn't understand. First of all, people weren't listening enough to his joke where he was what he was even saying, the purpose of him saying it, the analogy he was making versus somebody's life being taken versus someone that says something to you. It's two different dynamics. It's just as bad to have to bring up somebody's death as it is to bring up someone's that you feel, you may be sensitive about something. So I appreciate when David Pell uses his platform to send out a message. And he was simply talking about us in a sense that, black people, why is this happening? You don't mind jumping to settle one thing, but if I say something about or have an opinion about someone, it's a whole big problem. And then you immediately do something about that. So I don't have a problem with Dave and his purpose of what he was saying and how he said it. And it's like, to me, being a comedian is the one thing that gives you a license to be able to say anything. I mean, it's they comedians. I mean, I don't understand the problem. It's not something you should be taking serious. I'm just joking with you.
And again, that's the element of it that they're trying to get away from, is where no one will no one could just say anything. You know what I mean? You go on Twitter, you look at the history with Kevin Hart in the Oscar situation. You can even go back in time with Lenny Bruce, who was a comedian, and he was a white comedian, but he was still saying a lot of things that didn't register well with the government and stuff like that. Right. So early on, like I said, you have different people who have done it and broken the mold. But as with anything, because I look at everything being legalized, whether it be from cryptocurrency, marijuana, whatever. Right. As with anything, the government gonna get into it if it's too good. So basically, they
can't benefit from it.
Yeah, exactly. So Lenny Bruce, Dave Chappelle. I'm not saying the government getting involved in Dave Chappelle per se, but I basically come back to the point is which, okay, those words were a little too poignant or too touching. So we might need to put you on hold for a second. You know what I mean?
Restriction.
But this is a cancel culture. This is the age we live in now. So Dave might not be cancelable, I guess is the word I would use. But other comedians might not have the same leverage to say those things.
Or the back.
Yeah.
But the whole cancel culture is so interesting to me because I guess I would be worried about it if I have something that you could cancel. In the sense that, I mean, how do you cancel someone that through social media? I guess because I guess it's just different. It's a different type of boycott now. Yeah. You just boycott on social media and it affects you on the street.
Right. Well, the thing is, social media now is driving a lot of deals and investments.
Yes, it is.
So, people are, say, for instance, you touch 1 million on Instagram, you can, solicit for people to contact you and you post and you charge them. You know what I mean? So with that being said, it's nowadays where your social media or your followers can have a direct correlation to your income and your earnings. That's right. So with that being said, that's where it's getting tricky now because it's like you want to use this method, but these are the rules with this method.
Right.
So just make sure you follow them. And if you don't follow them, we're going to make sure that these people going to cancel you, and these fake accounts are also going to cancel you too. So, and again, cancel really just means we just don't see your stuff or watch what you put out. So, your numbers don't go there. Right. They affect your views and that affects your money. So, it's understood, but that's where Dave's at. He's like, I produce my own stuff. I pay my own stuff. He's out there in Ohio doing whatever he's doing. Yeah. And, so I more power to him. Yeah. But that's why he's one of my favorites, for
he's
sure.
One of my, he and Kevin Hart. But yeah, man, listen, I won't hold you long. I really, really, really appreciate you coming on with me. I'm going to tell you, you look for this man because he has his own podcast that's coming soon. Speak that thing into existence.
Yes, sir.
Kevin has some amazing information, great content, great, just good guy all around, man. So I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Definitely. Look, and as you mentioned earlier, I call you Chef, but Mr. Alvin, I appreciate you.
It's okay. It's okay.
And definitely looking forward to the future. And I'm grateful for the current that we also have too. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Definitely. Y'all follow me on Instagram, social media at Never Not Chill. I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry, Alvin.
No. The closeout is like, okay, Kevin, can you tell the people how to reach you, man? Can you give us your social media and everything?
Okay.
And your website?
That was the comedian in me going too early. My bad. Let me know. Give me the cue, Alvin. Let me know when I'm ready.
So people, we've had Kevin on the show. It's been great. Kevin, tell us how we can reach out to you, man. If they want to book you for a show, can they book you for a home show or something like that?
Well, you know what? You can call me. We can get on Zoom and we can talk. If you need to laugh for a little bit, that's fine. I don't charge, but after, a certain amount of laughs, I do.
Okay.
I charge $1 a laugh, maybe. Okay. But no, definitely you can find me on Instagram as well as Twitter at Never Not Chill. It's exactly as it sounds, Never Not Chill. You can definitely check out some of the content. I've done some web series as well, which I didn't have a chance to really discuss. But like I said, definitely check those out. Help me with my views. If you heard the money talk that we just had, you can help me out.
So listen, y'all, before I let him go, because he just slid there like right under there. What's up with this web series, man? How are we supposed to know? I guess, I take that back. I should have done more of my homework. I'm sorry. So just a little bit. What's this web series about?
Yeah, and that's my bad. I should have discussed that earlier when we went into the comedy conversation. But going back to what we said earlier, as I was studying people, I was paying attention to what they were doing. Mm-hmm. So I would see different things they did. Stand up, writing. So that became the web series. I paid attention to, a few people: Donald Glover, Larry David, Seth Rogen, Judd Apatow. Different people in different industries, different people in the industry, but they had different success points, right?
Okay, right, right.
So for me, I wrote a web series with a friend of mine. It was called A Few Thirsty Men. That was my first web series, so it's kind of exactly as it sounds. A Few Thirsty Men.
How did that?
So we, one of those things. We released it in 2015. Okay, so at the beginning of 2000, I think it was the middle of 2015, we released our first episode and got pretty great reviews. People enjoyed it. And not just our family and friends, but legit people outside of that. So we kept going. We adjusted our formula. That turned into 4 episodes. We had a lost episode with episode 5.
Okay.
Yeah, because we were trying to send it, put it as an actual show. But again, as you mentioned earlier, learning things. This was definitely a great learning experience. Writing with a team, filming. We did all our own production. So
what was I
learned. A Few Thirsty Men. You can Google it. It's going to come up immediately.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to look.
Few Thirsty Men. Yep. Okay. So I actually had a chance to put it on a streaming platform that I was working with. It was called My Dubo. So we had it streaming, and we were on Apple TV and Roku and other things like that. So my mama was able to watch her baby on the big screen,
My
yeah. But yeah, so not just that. I have a few things, but definitely check out my playlist as I mentioned. Because look, Chef, just to repeat what you said, I don't want to take too much of your time.
No.
Okay?
Oh, go. No, you all right. You all right. Look, I appreciate you sharing that. I did not know about your web series. I know that you have quite a few skills and talents, but I will be checking it out today.
Definitely. I appreciate you. Look, I don't want to be too vain, but I could talk all day. That's what we do.
Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity, man. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I'll be seeing you soon. All right.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank y'all for watching.
Y'all take care. All right.
Take it easy, man. Thank you for watching Trying Success on the Old Fashioned Health Network. Good health inside and out. We out. Peace.